Reza, you watched, I think a lot of people here from that reaction saw some of that Tucker Carlson interview. A friend of mine texted me and said, are we allowed to like Tucker Carlson for 48 hours?
Yes, 48 hours,
I
that's
said,
it.
yeah, it's like the purge, right? You can like the white supremacist just for a little bit while he's the only person doing journalism in this moment and asking some tough questions.
Yeah.
You are someone who is an Iranian American who has studied this stuff. You are like me, we've got the grays to show, old enough to remember the Iraq War.
Yeah.
This stuff is integral. America goes to war constantly with countries that most voters couldn't find on the map, and most politicians would struggle to say anything about, whether it's Iraq, Libya, Syria, now Iran.
No, it's the only time that Americans learn geography is when we start bombing. That's when we figure out where things are. Look, I think you brought up the Iraq thing, and it is very important. And the truth is, Tucker Carlson has a point here, that we went into the Iraq War.
We're only allowed to say that a few times tonight, then we have to take a shower. Tucker Carlson has a point.
We went into the Iraq War, not just under false pretenses, but with absolute ignorance about Iraq, its culture, its politics, its people. And it's very clear that we're falling into the same trap again. And I do think that it is important to note that in the same way that we went to the Iraq War based on a series of lies, there is a series of lies that are being told about the need to go to war with Iran that are just as urgent. Lie number one is this notion that while it is true that Iran has for years been developing a nuclear program, a uranium enrichment program, that somehow they are on the verge at any minute now to creating a bomb. And the entire world's intelligence community disagrees with this point. So that's
including
lie
US
number
intelligence,
one.
according to CNN.
US, that's lie number one. Lie number two is one that we hear all the time too, which is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel. The absurdity of this statement. I mean, if there's anything that we've learned in the last couple of days of this bombing campaign, is that Iran is a gnat on the back of Israel. I mean, Israel is a incredibly powerful military. Iran is not. Yeah. Iran doesn't pose a conventional threat. And then line number three, and this I think is the most pernicious one, particularly here in Los Angeles, or Tehrangeles, as we like to call it sometimes, which is that while it is absolutely true, it's 100% fact that the Iranian people loathe their government, that the government, this regime, is barely holding on, that is true. The idea that all we need is some U.S. bombs to start dropping on Tehran for the regime to ultimately collapse and the people to rise up and take over is absurd. If anything, the opposite is going to occur. Iranians are very patriotic. They're very nationalistic.
Pretty sure they had an 8-year war in which they lost 250,000 people being attacked by Iraq and didn't just roll over.
Honestly, I think the best thing that could happen to this regime is if American bombs start to fall on it.